get to see Shaquille O'Neal next week, which
That's right.
leads to our Friday announcement. I'm skipping ahead a little bit.
Let's go.
Our Friday, we got down to a final.
Yep.
30. We gave 30. Of course, speaking about the Spike Lee casting call, I'm sorry. I probably should give a reference. So we got down to 30 final submissions. We sent them to Spike. He got them down in the final 5. Over the course of the weekend, everybody voted on the final 5, and we have ourselves a winner. It's Evan Mack. He'll be joining us at the party next week, alongside our 3 cover athletes, Spike Lee, Shaq, who we just referenced, Ernie Johnson, and I'm sure a bunch of other NBA
and Ronnie
players.
2K. I mean, let's go, right?
No, you'll be there too. It's gonna be really great. So we really wanted to give an opportunity for fans to go to that party, and we're probably going to expand it more because there were so many submissions, so much excitement around that. We had so many. I want to say the number was like over 11,000, which
that's crazy.
I was watching the WWE Tough Enough stuff the other day, and they had TV to support that, and they got 13,000 submissions.
It's crazy.
So it just speaks to how
amazing our fans are,
amazing our community is.
And it's cool that Spike finally chose the winner, and like we have this guy that's going to come in, get his face scanned, get in the Spike Lee story. So, of course,
and he's from Hollywood, by the way.
I know him.
Which is actually so funny. It's so funny that we might give a Hollywood kid his first acting break.
It's pretty cool and exciting stuff. Obviously, we're trying to always do stuff for you guys, the community, the fans, and really trying these interesting things. And the casting call, I mean, it just seemed like a right fit with, of course, Spike Lee bringing his narrative.
One last thing on Thursday of last week, just trying to get through the news, we announced our last 2 legend teams.
That's right.
What are your thoughts on those?
06 Cavs are very interesting. Young LeBron, they had a lot to learn that season.
Yep.
Our friend Robert Horry helped the Spurs destroy them that year.
4-game sweep.
Yeah, but you have to learn how to lose before you learn how to win. I know it's so cliched, but it's really true. And now you looked at what a monster that created in LeBron James to current day, even though they lost in the finals this year. Seeing his play and he took it to another level.
One of the reasons we left that team last to announce was because we wanted to set the tone of what we were doing with career, which I know sounds a little unusual, but Jeff Thomas, not to skip ahead to the community day, which we're going to talk about at length, spoke about how I think Chris Move or Shake or one of the guys referenced this. The relationships that you have with your agent and what you have to do on your off day.
Correct.
We learned a lot about that from LeBron and our interactions with him in 2K14. I mean, I've been around these players during All-Star Weekend and just during the season, and they don't really have an off season. Like talking to all the Warrior guys, they've gotten off and they won a championship, and then they went on the parade, and then they had to do all of these endorsement things. They didn't have an off season.
Well, I guess
a lot of these guys, their career is an everyday thing, and that's what's so brilliant about this off the court, off day stuff that we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Well, I was just going to say they're either in the gym practicing, sort of like live practice in my career. They're obviously, they have endorsement deals. You have to fulfill your endorsement deals, and obviously they have connections that they have to make happy.
Endorsement deals, what happens? You lose your endorsement.
That's interesting. That's an interesting kind of angle. So speaking of the community day, the press event, we unveiled, of course, the My Career trailer. We let them have hands-on with the game, playing NBA 2K16, right? Just a vast, vast improvement in so many areas. And then, of course, we got into My Career, which some of the news, which you saw one of the trailers, at least the Spike aspect of it, the narrative that will be brought into the My Career mode as a whole.
Yeah, Jeff Thomas, Eric Benish, Mike Wang, all the gameplay guys, they all kind of took turns talking about their babies, right? Like their respective, which mode that they work on. Jeff, I mean, was so passionate about a career and working with Spike all these months. I mean, it's not like it was such a great partnership, and it was like kind of an everyday thing, because that's the only way that we got the amount of content that we do. That trailer is only a little tiny bit, and we're going to talk about the trailer in a second. The trailer that you just saw at the beginning of this broadcast, I'm sure you've seen a bunch of times since yesterday, that was only a little tiny piece. I mean, there is a lot of decisions that you have to make, and it's going to influence, what you have to do, and it's what these NBA guys have to deal with
on and off the court.
Right? Like, how do you deal with your friends? How do you deal with your family? How do you deal with your significant others? How do you deal with your agent? all of these kind of choices and bringing kind of Spike's lens to that, and hearing Jeff in particular speak about that during the community day. You know, watch the videos that came out of the event. You guys will learn a lot about like what the dev team and Spike were thinking about.
Now, we have all these different modes, right? We've yet to unveil My Park, which I think people are going to be very excited about this year. In particular, we heard some things that made us jump out of our seats a little bit, like things we didn't even know about till like the end, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't wait for people to find out. We do have My Park to talk about. We have another feature / mode to talk about, which we haven't unveiled yet. But what we have unveiled, we have 2K Pro-Am. We have, obviously, the My Park, where you're going to take your My Player. And, of course, we've unveiled a lot about My Career this week, both from the story aspects of it and then also what you're actually going to be doing in My Career with live practice, connections, and endorsements, which is really 3 big pillars of My Career this year. So you have all this just massive mode of decisions and, like, really going down that path what you want. I think a lot of the guys, press included, were really impressed with what they saw with My Career.
Yeah, those decisions are part of that kind of ongoing path, right? And that's really, we've been reinforcing, be the story, be the story, be the story. And to kind of have that decision tree and, you know, being able to choose how you want to spend those days, because they are valuable. It's every off day you can do something, and it's whether it's, you know, doing the live practice or fulfilling these obligations. It's super important. Do we want to get into a little bit of news?
I do, but I want to preface it by saying, you know, one thing that you see across the board this year, is you're really seeing that the entire dev team really listened to our community. We really want to make the ultimate basketball game, the ultimate basketball simulation game that we can make. And I think the team looked at...
And balance within that.
I've always said throughout all these broadcasts, balance. From a gameplay standpoint, to a mode standpoint, to a creation standpoint. Like, what we want to do is really balance everything out. We want to let the players feel like they have that individualism. Is that a word? Maybe not, but I'm going to use it anyway. You know, kind of feel like they have that power to create and really identify who they are as a player or a person, or as, you know, their crew of players, right?
Well,
their squad of players, whatever you want to call it. But I think the really interesting thing, sorry to cut you off, I'm very passionate about this, is we've given all these tools to the players to help kind of give them an identity themselves, which is going to be amazing when the game launches right on September 25th. But more importantly, the dev team really listened about the criticisms of the game. And from a gameplay standpoint, I think a lot of people who are probably in the chat ready to hear this news about how My Player creation, how caps now work, I just want to say, like, we've listened to all that feedback as we get into this stuff. And the dev team took it really seriously because we wanted to balance out our mistakes, right? And we did make mistakes along the way. And now we're looking to remedy those mistakes in NBA 2K16 to make it the most competitive, most sim basketball experience that you have ever played.
I couldn't have said that better. That was very spot on. You know, the only thing that I would reinforce is the sim aspect, right?
Yep.
That's been kind of like falling within every single announcement that we've made. One that just completely jumped to my mind was in gameplay specifically that people have their 4 signature dribble packages within that thing, so they actually look like themselves. I mean, that's pretty obvious. We've done that for a long time, but to have them assign, I mean, we're talking about signature dribbles at this point. Like, I mean,
it's really insane.
Pretty crazy. So
that you can string in and out of. It's not just like signature size up 1, 2, 3.
That's what I'm
correct.
trying to reinforce. Like, we want the ability for people to follow what the NBA looks like, and that's really important. So we started talking about that because what we're about to get into with creative players and My Careers, and, you know, what you can do from an attribute perspective. That's what we're going to get into.
Some friends of ours brought us this cheese plate right here that you're going to see in front of you, and what I really want to reinforce this year, and I think it was really important to our development team, it was really important to our community, is we wanted to take that cheese that maybe some of you guys saw on the park in NBA 2K15 and kind of creating these 7-foot small forwards and some of these guys that are 7'1" but have handles like Kyrie, right? Some of that we made mistakes on, but you know what? We've listened to the community, and it is time, Ronnie 2K, to cut that cheese right in half. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to, I don't care, we're cutting that cheese right in half. You want a cheese this year? We're making it sim. You're going to pay for your mistakes, right? Like all those criticisms of gameplay we've listened to, we've addressed. All those, you know, criticisms of my players and having these extraordinary, godly type players, right? These LeBron James in their DNA of everybody being tall. Those days are over. So as we approached, and as the team was looking in NBA 2K16, in all, you know, jokes aside, they were looking at how we can really balance out every position, right? Not having a jack of all trades kind of player that's great at everything, but how you can make the best player at that position at what he specializes in.
Yeah. Again, you couldn't say it better myself.
I'm fired up today, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I do worry about you having scissors and cheese. In
Don't worry about it. We got a lot of cheese cutting to do. Cheddar cutting today, baby.
The only thing I'll add to that is, you know, I think the attempt from the dev team last year was to be able to simulate anybody in the league. So, I mean, there is a Kevin Durant, for example, right? So there is a 7'6'11", 7-foot small forward who's lanky, athletic, can shoot from the perimeter, that can do everything. There is a Magic Johnson, right? Who's 6'8", can play point guard, can do everything, can pass, is got court vision. We're talking about like once in a generation type players, right? So to add that balance, we can't have a park or all of these various modes, Pro-Am especially, with. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening. I'm just waiting for it. Go ahead. Continue.
We can't have the cheese.
That's right.
Where you don't let me concentrate.
I'm letting you talk.
We can't have the cheese in these various modes where.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Where
you have a full team full of 7 foot.
A full team of Kevin Durant.
That
a full
everybody.
team of Magic Johnsons, a full team of these guys.
That's correct.
Because they are once in a generation players.
That's correct.
And so what was really important was step one.
Yes.
Let's not allow for a ecosystem full of these guys.
Correct.
So that's the genesis, right? So that's where we're starting from. So now let's get into the meat of it.
All right. So I guess to start off, we have 3 scoring styles this year. So when you create your My Player, you're going to have to focus on inside, outside, and balance. That help determine your caps.
Yep.
They're not only determined by these, it's also height kind of based, but it all kind of wraps around. So let me kind of explain. Inside guys can punish you down low, right? But they're going to be less likely to drain threes and be really fast-paced perimeter scores, right? Sure. So as you're creating these, and vice versa for outside guys, you know, you're not going to have them out-rebounding people. You know, one thing that was really interesting about the body scanning this year is it took into effect wingspans. And this is the first sports game you are actually truly going to feel and see those wingspans take effect. And listen, don't take it from me. You can talk to the guys who, of course, played the game and have their reviews. You can ask them about wingspans. Ask them about what happened when you had a point guard there next to a forward or a center going for a rebound, right? Like in the real NBA.
Brought it up in his video, by
correct.
The way. He brought up if a big guy goes and tries to back down a little guy.
Yep.
You feel the difference.
You feel a mouse in the house, right? The post game's completely been rewritten. That was a big focus. Shout out to Zach over there and the team.
Right? All of these mismatches are way more kind of obvious in this year's game.
All positions also have height caps now. We listen, we get it. Like, we don't just want, and this is all positions. I don't want to just kind of refer to the small forward thing, but I think it's a kind of a popular thing
I think it's worth
in our community. So I just want to say, 7 foot small forwards. That cheese is gone, ladies and gentlemen. No more 7 foot small forwards. In fact, we'll get into these caps in just a few minutes, but that is over.
Eat this cheese after?
You can eat it. You can feel free to. I don't really want the cheese.
I mean, I was going to make myself.
Although I will say, if you're a sim kind of guy, I think you're going to eat that cheese right up. See what I did there? Anyway, for example, here's the thing, though. The taller that you are, you're going to have advantages, but you're also going to have disadvantages, right? So in my thinking, you don't want to just say, I want to be a tall power forward, right? Well, I'm going to have some advantages to that, maybe rebounding, but I'm also going to have some disadvantages, like dribbling.
This is extremely strict. We're not trying to be flimsy about this. I think in years past, things, generally you want to call out balance, but we're really like there's been so much play testing that's been done on this stuff, and we're looking for those combinations that make a lot of sense. You're about to probably reference a few of them, but a tall point guard, a tall person in general shouldn't be as fast as a smaller person.
So various attributes cap out at a lower number the taller you are. So let's just say dribbling, right? You're not going to be able to dribble like a point guard if you're taller, right? There's going to be some give and take, right? On the other end, some of your attributes actually cap out higher the taller you are. So for example, one of the examples we have, it helps to be tall, rebounding, post hook, blocks, right? Pretty simple. A big guy plays like a big guy. It hurts to be tall, speed, acceleration, and ball handling. And one thing I want to say about that is speed, as you probably have seen and heard, we really took speed. And we didn't want, again, those bigs that were kind of just like jack of all trades and super fast as Kyrie or point guards as some of the smaller guys that you saw last year that kind of created an imbalance. No more of that cheese anymore.
Can we explain what you mean by jack of all trades? Because when somebody says jack of all trades, they mean they can do everything decently.
Superb.
No. Jack of all trades means they can do everything decently. But you're talking about everything superb. You are. Because
I'm talking about everything, doing
last
everything.
Year, you could shoot like
That's
KD.
right.
You could handle like Kyrie.
That's
you
right.
could, do all of this. You could rebound like Dennis Rodman. Like there was this just uber super players.
Yeah.
And that's not sim.
Yeah.
That's just not. That's not how the game is played. There are so few of these once in a generation players, and even if you are once in a generation, you're not good at everything.
That's right.
Sorry, I just wanted to clear up the jack of all trades thing, because jack of all trades means you're good at everything.
In the NBA world, I call it like the,
everything.
like you can create
Specialists.
this right. There's that.
You can't be a specialist.
There's
in
no
everything.
demigods in NBA 2K16, right? Like that hurt my heart as somebody who's uber competitive and like really wants to have balance in mind. But it gave us an opportunity to learn from our mistakes and really get out there and create this ultimate basketball simulation, not only with NBA players who have kind of their stats and attributes put into the game that are reflected from those players in real life, but also when you create your My Players, right? Because we want 2K Pro-Am to be that competitive stage where you are actually showing off, right? We're thinking about this thing. You don't bring out a mode like 2K Pro-Am if you don't balance out the My Player creation caps and the height restrictions and also the attribute restrictions, right? If I'm a point guard, I'm going to have great handles, right? If I'm a center, not so great. If I'm a point guard, I'm not going to necessarily be able to out-rebound centers, right? I might get one once in a while, but listen, I'm a point guard. I have my strengths. Rebounding is probably not one of them.
That's how the association works.
That's right.
How our game should work.
That's why you have positions, right?
Yeah.
You 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We also, you're talking about Pro-Am and all of the
Park as well.
Park.
Right.
There will be a lot more role assignment. Like it's not just about what you're, we don't want 5 demigods on the court. We want people that are filling the role within a center and all the various positions. Right. Obviously, there's going to be scorers. Everyone wants to score. You are a ball hog, so you. No,
I'm a shooter.
You're a shooter.
I'm a scorer.
But not, and most people are.
But see, here's the nice thing. When I go out and I'm like, Ronnie, we need to find a point guard that can give us the ball, right?
I prefer that.
And that's the great thing about the game, though. You're going to have to give up certain things so you can be the best player at that position.
Yep.
And I think we've seen that with players. And now you have these attributes, like I mentioned, that are going to help that. Now, height is also more restrictive, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, right? For example, 7-foot small forwards, think of the past. So we do have the height caps for each position, so grab your pens and papers and notes, and I'm going to actually give you these height restrictions on how you create your players in my career this year. So your height restrictions are as follows. From point guard, 5'7" to 6'7". Shooting guard.
Real quick, before you go on. One thing, just taking that example, point guard 5'7" to 6'7". There were point guards that were shorter than 5'7". In the history of the NBA. There were point guards that were taller than 6'7". There's one in the league right now, Sean Livingston, who's taller than 6'7". They exist, but they are so rare that we wanted to be simulation and confine
the taller you go, it's going to fluctuate some of your attributes. So you have to keep that in mind.
Is going to be one of the slowest point guards in the game.
Shooting guard, 5'10" to 6'8". Small forward, 6'3" to 6'10". Power forward, 6'5" to 7 foot, and center, 6'8" to 7'3". So we have these different various heights, and there's going to be pros and cons to what heights you are, right? What position you are, and also, you know, the kind of play style you are. So what we really wanted to do was have these these three main scoring styles: inside, outside, and balanced. And based on that, and based on your height, you know, it's going to really, the attributes will cap out differently based on your height, right? So it makes sense for that position, for what kind of like scoring player that you are, right? And also defensively and stuff, all that's factored in. But we really wanted to make it to where you can create the best player, the most simulation-esque player at that position, right? Not having this uber amazing, right? Like we got that feedback, we got it. We don't like demigods, we don't like 7-foot small forwards that have handles like Kyrie and that can shoot threes like Dirk and that can, you know, or be a sharpshooter like Ray Allen, also have the handles. Now bigs are going to play like bigs. One thing that I love about NBA 2K16, and again, shout out to the amazing dev team for really improving this aspect of the game, because I love playing team up, right? One thing I really liked about playing team up last year, as opposed to maybe playing on the rec center, is bigs played like bigs,
roles,
right?
Yeah.
You had your roles. I knew that when I had a power forward or a center, they could play like power forward and a center. The post has been completely rewritten in the post. So last year you would kind of go, you would have this two-man animation where you'd have dribbler one, you'd hit the button, he'd kind of go into that back down animation, player two would kind of lock in, right? One of the greatest things that Mike Wang said is when you have two competitive players in NBA 2K16, and we can attest to this, playing mini matchups and yelling at each other and saying obscenities that we would probably get in trouble for saying on the stream, you have to have it balanced. Like, you can break out of those animations at any time, right? So this new post game for bigs, we saw examples of a little guy getting a mismatch. The guy's calling for a ball, you get him the ball, and he is just powering up and right over the little guy. It doesn't matter what he can do, you know?
I hate to say it, just take a guesstimate here. How much of the percentage of your play when you were playing were you inside versus outside?
I mean, a lot of it was perimeter based, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And then there's other things too, like being able to protect the ball as a big, and you know, not allowing that player behavior. I think you saw a lot of times people would get the ball in the post last year and they would come and the player behavior would say, I'm going to steal it because I'm having success, right when I know he goes into that animation. Mike Wang said it best to our guys. He said, when you have two competitive players at a similar skill level, you're going to see a very competitive game, right? Without ever feeling locked in. This is important, to an animation, right? The idea and the great thing about the physics in NBA 2K16 is you really never feel locked into any animations, right? It's just very visceral. It just feels so good. That's all I can say about it. I'm gonna bring that back.
Year without saying that.
But I have to.
No,
but you know the great thing is, Ronnie, like height, tall players being able to have all of those, you know, attributes raised, that's over. That cheese is gone. You know, being able to be tall and have, you know, not feel like a post player, that's over with the new and improved inside game that's been added. The defense, right? If you're a big, you want to play defense, you're not going to see guys barreling in over people and, you know, coming down the lane without repercussion this year. You know, you really are going to make the best player for that position. And I think that's, from a top-level standpoint, a really great thing, because when we start talking about 2K Pro-Am and people specializing in their roles and getting the game competitive, right? Even on the park, going out there and competing, you're going to have give and take on what on how and what you want to do to score the ball and play defense. I love it.
That was nice.
I love it. I'm excited because I've been waiting to talk about this all year, right? So I don't know. I'm excited to obviously hear your thoughts on Twitter and to see kind of some of your feedback about this. We'll get you know, some info over. The OS guys are probably all over it right now. And shout out to Operation Sports and all our fans out there.
One thing I wanted to add is, I was talking about the general philosophy of why we do things, right?
Yes.
I think you get into the nitty-gritty, and I talk about the general philosophy. Going back to what you're talking about, the general philosophy here was to get balance throughout, right? And you're talking about caps, you're talking about all the various positions, but generally, last year you were talking about like you really like playing team up. It was about getting those positions and being able to have a role. I think that's the shift that we were doing.
Yes.
Last year, park there was 3 new parks, right?
Yep.
There was what we created with this whole affiliation kind of phenomenon, right? You collect your affiliations, but what we were missing there was like role identification.
Yeah.
Like you might have been a guy in the affiliation, you might have been a legend, you might be
very
whatever,
perimeter
right?
oriented,
But it's all like you were just a member of an affiliation. Now we want you to be a member of a team.
Yeah.
And like work with your guys to carve out a niche about what you're doing on a 5-man squad. And it's not just about, so like there were 3 parks last year.
Yeah.
There's, you know, we're going to get into what parks mean this year, but there's also Pro-Am,
Yep.
and we're trying to create a way that you can find an identity within your affiliation or within obviously your Pro-Am team.
And also, we want people to select the various heights. Like some people will say, well, why wouldn't I just want to go tall, right? You don't want to just have people that want to play big and be tall.
Quickness.
The thing is, you don't also want to, you want to ding them on things. So some of the vertical is dinged a little bit the taller you go, but you can't limit bigs from playing like bigs. So the idea behind the system is that we kind of look at those hurts and helps based on how tall you are, but we also help the tall and the short and hurt them where it made sense, right? Like you want to be able to specialize. If I want to go taller, I'm going after boards. I'm going after rebounds. I want to be a rim protector, right? Maybe I want to shorten that if I want to play a different kind of style. And that's where we're really trying to make it so it accommodates those different play styles at the positions based on height, based on how you want to create that player, but also limiting you to where things make sense for what kind of player you've built. Whether you're tall or you're short, right? Both have pros and cons. It really comes down to the kind of my player that you want to create, right? Be the story. This is about you. And then when you play that role in the teams, then you got to start thinking about, okay, now I need a center because the center does this. Now we need a tall power forward because this does this. Maybe we need a more athletic power forward because he does this, right? Then you have to start assembling like your Pro-Am teams or your crew or your squad, whatever you want to call it. Start looking at those different roles and how it's going to benefit you, because when you get in that 5v5 competitive setting, roles are going to matter. It's going to be simulation. It's not going to be the cheese that you saw. I know our community loves that word. It's not going to be that cheese that you saw running 2K. It's not going to be that cheese that you saw from previous years.
I have cheese all over my shoes.
You do.
Just in case you guys were wondering.
You do.
I like my shoes too.
My shoes are pretty sim, so I'm feeling good about myself.
Those shoes are not sim.
Yeah, I mean, it really just shows a testament, again, from every mode, I think from my team to my league to my GM to my league online, right? To obviously 2K Pro-Am and the customization options and all the stuff that the dev team has added to my career that you're learning about this year, right? We've really done and tried very hard to collect all that feedback. The dev team's been listening, we've been listening certainly, and really trying to create the best, most basketball simulation-oriented game that we've ever created. And I really, truly believe that you guys are going to be in for quite a treat with NBA 2K16.
And quite a treat 10 days from now. I mean, we're talking about next Friday. If you pre-order, you will have your hands on the game, and you'll be able to play it all weekend, which is pretty awesome. I'm sure you and I are both going to want to broadcast basically all weekend and
got some questions
and play with the fans.
Sure, we got some questions.
Questions are coming.
Questions.
All time. Are you going to have a store launch at GameStop in San Francisco? I don't know, actually. And, I meant to ask that today. I mean, I'll probably go. You'll probably go.
If we are. I mean, it's interesting.
I kind of like, I don't know about you, but I kind of, well, I do know about you. We kind of drive around to various GameStop and just kind of see what's going on. I would personally be there on Thursday night because Friday, I'm sure people are going to be lining up for their coffee at midnight.
I'm going to be ready to get going.
I'll be there. Can friends come to your My Court, and is there 1v1? So we're going to get more into My Court between now and then, but the influencer guys made a lot of suggestions, obviously. I mean, we can say that My Court, you can invite your friends. What that looks like exactly, we have to kind of
we can talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
You can invite your friends all you want.
Yeah.
You got a guy that's talking trash, invite one. You got two guys talking trash, invite two, and then get a teammate. Play 2-on-2, 3-on-3.
What it looks like, we have to show you still, and we're going to. It's amazing.
It is amazing. And you'll see a little bit of it very soon.
Question about the mobile app. There's going to be a little announcement about that tomorrow.
Yes.
So
my NBA 2K. Who's ready for my NBA 2K16?
Tune in tomorrow.
Phone batteries be dying, Ronnie.
Yeah. Thank you. Can you still get the game early if you pre-order at GameStop? Yes. The pre-order window is still open. So
yes.
make sure to get it ASAP because you
right.
are running out of time. And are custom jump shots back? I don't understand that question.
We'll be talking a little bit more about that in the near
future. Am I
future.
missing something? Oh, that's yeah, okay.
Yep.
If you want to look at the other questions, feel free. Yeah. What else? Let's see. So, real quick announcement.
Oh, sorry. Will My League Online be more than 2 seasons? So we actually cleared this up. Yeah, you can go on and extend on as many seasons. I mean, very, very many seasons beyond 2.
The way the blog was written, it made
it seem like you only do 2 seasons. My League Online, you can continue and continue and continue if you choose. Many.
I want to say it's like 80 or something like that.
I don't know the number, but it's a lot. Like a lot. Yep. So that is a yes. My League Online, another great feature. Fantasy drafts are back. Get your friends. I'm excited. I'm going to run some fantasy leagues with some of the fans out there, so that's going to be
I made
great My League Online features.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Phenomenal.
I made this tweet earlier this week. Actually, it was Trayvon that asked me, what's your favorite feature in NBA 2K16 that you've announced so far? Well, there's one that we haven't announced that I'm excited about.
That's my most favorite thing, too.
But there's, obviously I've always loved Career. I've always loved My Park. But the funny thing to me is, how are you going to divide your time? Because I'm not, admittedly, I've never played a lot of My League. I just haven't. I used to back in like 2K, like 2K10, 2K9. I used to do it back in the day. But I haven't done it in a while. And
this is, by the way.
But now, after I read Eric's blog, I was like, I want to play My League.
One of the things that was really cool to hear about from the approach of the dev team at the press event was, Eric looked at 2K12 as that starting point when online association was really hot and popping, and he wanted to bring all that back. But the really cool thing about it is he built this from the ground up. So the legacy issues of the previous years, online leagues are gone. My League Online, completely rewritten, completely new, and a completely brand new experience that I think people are going to really enjoy.
Yeah,
I'm excited about that one.
I am too. And that's what I'm saying. Historically, I wouldn't have played
dedicated day every day to play a different mode.
I don't know how our community is going to be able to split their time. I think the YouTube influencers in particular are going to be like, what am I going to play? What am I going to be putting out?
It's funny because these are some of the best. Some of the best guys in the world. Sometimes I don't think people, and this is just fans in general. I'm just talking in general. Appreciate or understand how hard editing videos are, whether you're doing it from an entertainment perspective or you're doing it from a strategic perspective, or
our perspective too.
Just getting assets out there from a content creation standpoint is so time consuming. There's so many talented people out there across the video gaming industry, and I kind of want to clear that up because I had a YouTube background coming up, right? I was doing videos before YouTube was there. I'm now dating myself, but that's. I don't know. I just think it's incredible.
Well, those guys work extremely
hard. We have guys that are doing multiple videos for our game every single day, and I can't say thank you enough to everybody. We're looking forward to holding more community events in the future, and I want to get different people in here, and
different launch windows. So this year we had a few new guys, and it was fun to have that kind of new take. It was really great.
Yep.
Everybody that was at the team up event seemed really happy, and it was really good to have these guys.
But there's so many guys that we've worked with in the past that, and by the way, if somebody doesn't come up here in the past, it doesn't mean the relationship is over. I don't get the whole thing of oh, I'm not going this year. So we love working with our guys in the past. We love looking for new guys in the future. There's tons of guys out there that are making us laugh and entertaining us during the crazy times of crunch. And I know our developers appreciate a lot of you guys. So, we just wanted to say thank you. I know that sounds silly, but I think those guys will tell you how everybody treated them. And we're as big a fans of you guys, our fan base, as you guys are of our game. And I mean, that's the best way I can put it. We're very passionate about what we do. And that development team over there has, truly listen to the fan base on every single inch and nook and cranny of 2K16.
Every mode, whatever your flavor is, whatever mode that you want to play, we have took it to another, took it to an extreme another level. So whatever your poison is for NBA 2K, I think you'll be.
That's right, and that comes again. I can't say this enough. Comes down straight from a gameplay perspective of okay. these legacy flaws here, this area, you know, with the new physics engine, it takes away a lot of those flaws. The new foot planning system.
It adds some, but then they squash, they work on squashing those.
And the great thing too, again, this excites me as a fan of competitive, and you know, looking at that angle of it. Mike Wang worked with the team, he said this on Op Sports, to have the ability to have engineers go in there, and they've created this tool set where he can tune shooting sliders separately, both online and offline, right? And get in there without a patch and, you know, address some of the things that we'll be seeing. So having that ability, I think, changes everything. You know, I think that's such a huge thing that, you know, the normal person's not going to notice, but we'll be monitoring everything, right? And all I can say is, you know, this year is going to be a special year. The gameplay is phenomenal. I'm on cloud 9 about it. I want to get off this broadcast so we can go play, Ronnie. I want to go play some more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we need to have our head-to-head match.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Who should we be? Who does the chat want us to be?
Yeah, look forward to seeing that.
Should I give Grandpa Kobe some love? Because he's a struggle to use
as
in
much
2K.
as I want to do our one-on-one game on our next broadcast, we have plans for our next broadcast.
We do.
So, we are not broadcasting a week from today. We're actually broadcasting a week from tomorrow. Both Chris and I will be traveling next Tuesday. So our regularly scheduled broadcast will actually be on Wednesday of next week. And we're hoping, this is not for sure, but we're hoping to jump into a little bit more court stuff, maybe a little bit of park stuff.
Yep.
So we're really excited for next week's broadcast. And then, shoot, on Wednesday we're 2 days from early tip-off weekend, which is pretty crazy. So we are getting closer to the end. Both of us and the dev team and everybody's so excited.
I know.
Obviously exhausted, but definitely very, very thrilled to get NBA 2K16 in front of all the fans.
And again, I just want to reiterate one more time that, you know, from a my player creation standpoint, it was really important for the team to take this, and I can't say this enough, we were very serious about addressing the flaws, the criticism, the feedback that people didn't like about the game. You know, we get a lot of praise. We like to look at the flaws and how we can improve that game, and I know that hardworking dev team right next door has been just as serious about doing it in this perspective, because it was something that we learned a lot about last year. And we went in with the philosophy of balance and having every player, every position, when you create it, have pros and cons based on your attributes and your height caps, based on your position, based on the kind of player that you want to create, you know? And I think that's really important because we'll have some amazing, amazing games being played on 2K Pro. And we're going to have some fun in the My Park. I mean, we haven't even talked about My Park yet.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I mean, there's still a lot to talk about with career, too, so there's still going to be...
Balance.
There's still going to be some other career assets later this week. One thing we haven't talked about a lot about is the high school and college thing, which...
it's out there.
No, people know. I mean, obviously people
know.
And obviously the influencers got to see a little sneak peek of it. We are going to show you guys a little bit more there, so that's going to be exciting. Obviously, my core. So... a lot of career stuff is still left. We have the rest of the week for that. And then, of course, My Park and the unannounced feature next week. So getting closer to the end, but we're very excited. So if you guys haven't picked it up, what are you waiting for? Why are you watching us? Go pick up the game. And
Sim Nation, I just want to say, stand up. We are cheddar cutting every aspect of NBA 2K16.
You're cleaning this up, by the way.
I definitely am not cleaning this up. This is what you're going to clean up after the broadcast.
Awesome. Great.
That's right.
I've been moved to mop duty. So
that's right.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be back with you a week from tomorrow. Same time, 4 p.m. Pacific time. And look forward to a bunch more news in the next few days. So, yeah.
We'll see you real soon. We got some more to talk about. Keep your eyes and ears open, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.